Champions Cup back in action, folks. Northampton up against Clermont, and it is Northampton, despite a little bit of an early scare, who run out pretty comfortable winners. 46 points to 24 over Clermont. A hat-trick to Tommy Freeman, some smart kicking from Finn Smith, a double to Johanna Augustus, and even Henry Pollock bagging one towards the end for Clermont. Geez, they had a lot of injuries. Multiple props going off, couple of yellow cards. Fritz Lee seemingly with a pretty serious one. Dalgee going off injured. Certainly did not help their cause. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats. But ultimately, Northampton booked themselves a spot in the next round against either Benetton or Castra. We'll have to wait and see how their game plays out. Seemingly a flying start for Clermont. They certainly came out of the blocks pretty well. It looked like they had managed to try through Fritz Lee, but there was a Northampton guy who was able to just kind of ground the ball in their own in-goal area before Fritz Lee was able to kind of score the try. It was a really bizarre moment because the previous Clermont player was just kind of short. So a little bit of a get out of jail, but they still managed to get 3 points from the resulting scrum, the Clermont guys. So 3 points to 0 start. And just so much ball, so many phases. They were keeping it pretty narrow, but very quick ruck recycle ball. It was very pleasing to see. The odd offload in there, sometimes they would go back, but then the next carry would get them over the advantage line. Eventually, George Moala is able to have a quick pick and go. He's got enough power to go past the Northampton defenders, and we're 10 points to 0 away from home. The crowd had started off very much in good voice, but were certainly a little bit quieter, with Claremont being 10 points to 0 up. However, one thing that frustrated me a little bit about both sides, especially in the first half, was their inability to score points and then get a clean exit going. And Claremont was certainly guilty of that. They essentially, couldn't get a clean exit from their restart. They ended up giving Northampton a penalty, which Northampton kind of initially fluffed because they missed their own attacking line out, but the next chance they got Northampton, they didn't go for a line out for a touch from a penalty. They opted for a 3 to at least get themselves on the board. So 10 points to 3. And then 19 minutes, the first try for Northampton comes. It starts from a scrum free kick, and then pleasing to see Northampton just kind of wanting to keep the tempo high. Alex Mitchell loves a bit of that. He was able to, tap and go. They went through some phases. He had Hendy going down the left wing, and that guy chewed through the meters in this game. And, Mitchell again involved with the wee just kind of double pump, and then sends Smith over in the corner. So 10 points to 10. That early Clermont lead has already been erased, and we're only kind of 20 minutes into the game. So it's been a pretty full-on start with both sides getting a bit of momentum. But as I said, Northampton didn't do particularly well from the restart, and then Dalgee just cut the Northampton defenders to bits pretty much straight after that restart. If not for an Alex Mitchell tap tackle, he absolutely goes ahead and scores, but then sadly he gets himself injured. I don't know if it was the resulting tackles that got him, but he didn't really get back up. And that was a early disruption, sadly, to Clermont's backline. The forwards, as I said, were going down as well. But almost like a minute later, with Clermont that close to going to score, they are under their own sticks because Tommy Freeman gets his first of 3 tries. Now, later on, Pollock gets a try, which maybe he could have left for Freeman. I don't know why he would. Any player's job is to just force the ball. It looked like there was a little bit of a moment between them. Maybe just a casual conversation, maybe a bit of a joke. But Pollock essentially gets Freeman this try because he's the guy who wins the penalty at the breakdown, which allows the Northampton guys to go on the counter-attack. So if not for Pollock winning a penalty at the breakdown, Freeman doesn't score there. So Pollock helps get Freeman his first one. It's from a Northampton, again, quick tap from that penalty at the breakdown. So 15 points to 10 with the misconversion. And then Freeman gets his double not long later. It starts with Alex Coles, the big lock, putting the kick through, which isn't that much of a kick, but it goes into touch. And then Clermont lose the line out. Northampton just spin it wide, and they are absolutely able to punish before a defensive line is able to set. 20 points to 10. Starting to look a bit rosier for the Northampton fans who have really found their voice again by this point. And then, aside from the injuries for Clermont, it gets worse because they start getting cards. They get warned for too many offsides. The next one goes. So, down to 14 men. Looks like Northampton have immediately punished with a wee tap and go, but there's a knock-on in the build-up. But then another yellow card for Clermont. So they're down to 13 men. They get the wrong man. At first I thought it was Bello, but it was Basie. He gets yellow carded again for not being back 10 from a tap. And Northampton have a really nice line-out move. Throw it to the back of the line-out, the back pod. They pop it back down to Augustus, who just charges over. Maybe a little bit of a question mark about the grounding, but the referee was there and he gave it. So 27 points to 10. That is 27 unanswered points from Northampton in reply to, what was a flying start from Clermont. Turnovers won is 7-4, which you feel like is a pretty big one for Northampton because they have been absolutely able to punish on turnover ball. Line breaks 6-2, defenders beaten 19-11. All these kind of nice offensive stats in Northampton's favour. And the penalty count is 8-5. So not quite double, but they've conceded 3 more penalties than Northampton have Clermont. Second half, Clermont really just need to see out the start of that kind of yellow card period. But Hendy, on kick return, just brutally steps Alex Newsom. Just goes right around him like he is stuck in the mud. And then Augustus with the support line is able to just kind of canter over for his second try. So now we're at 34-10 and it's looking like it could be embarrassing. But Clermont did have a wee fight back when they went back to 15 men. Raka was able to beat Ram 1-on-1. So a couple of Aussies missing tackles at Newsom and Ram. But Raka can be a bit of a handful and he would miss a tackle of his own a bit later, to be fair. But at least that, sent him through to stop the 34 unanswered points from Northampton. So Clermont got some on the board, 34 points to 17. And then the crowd and the commentary team go a little bit quiet when Whainga goes over from a maul try for Clermont, because now it's game over at 34-10 and suddenly we're at 34-24. It's not looking quite so peachy. But only for a brief period, to be fair. I mean, Fritz Lee did get injured a bit later, but there was the hat-trick try for Freeman, and it's Raka. Like I mentioned, he couldn't make a one-on-one tackle with Tommy Freeman. He kind of got him on the weak shoulder, and that had all kind of started from a strong Northampton scrum. So I feel like Clermont were kind of starting to feel the pinch of so many injuries, to be fair. But, I mean, Freeman just beats Raka 1-on-1. Now it's 39-24. Fritz Lee goes off on the stretcher, like I mentioned. Hopefully he's not too bad, but it didn't look very good. He was on the kind of, the pain meds and off on a stretcher, so that's never a good sign. But the crowd gave him a standing ovation. And then more pressure from Northampton. Dingwall, quick hands for Finn Smith, who dinks a kick through for both Freeman and Pollock. Freeman maybe wanted a fourth, but Pollock is the guy who gets it. But like I said, he helped set one up earlier, so you can let Pollock get one. 46-24. That is the final score, but both sides kept fighting. Like Uda Projeta was driven back over the line by the Northampton guys as they were kind of pushing the pressure on. The replacement halfback for Clermont had a wee attempted kind of double kick line break to the death, so they kept fighting, but the game was essentially done. Northampton, as I said, booked themselves a spot in the next round. They finished with 55% possession, 53% territory, 10 line breaks to 6, 34 defenders beaten to 19, more kicks from hand, 26-23. They just dominated all the areas you would expect. Pollock, 14 carries, Freeman, 5 defenders beaten plus his 3 tries, Finn Smith, 12 kicks, Hendy, 130 metres, Augustus even had 90 metres, the big Lucy. Massa, the hooker for Clermont, had 15 tackles in a losing shift. But yeah, Castra or Benetton, who would you rather play? If you are Northampton, you're at home. So yeah, I know the Premiership season's not going that well, but looking all right in the Champions Cup. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. How do you think Claremont would have gone if not for all the injuries? I still think Northampton probably get it done, but might have been a little bit closer than that. You guys take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.